All right.
I'm not cooking.
You're not? I'm out of here. No. All right. Well, all right. Well, hey, hello, everyone. Thank you guys all for coming this evening, and welcome to the National Press Club, the place where news happens. My name's Emily Wilkins. I'm a congressional reporter for CNBC, and I'm the 117th president of the National Press Club, which gives me the absolute honor tonight of chatting with Mr. José Andrés. José. All right, we do have a couple quick housekeeping things, but I'll try and keep this short. So we are happy to accept your questions. I'll ask as many as time permits. To submit a question online, please email headliners@press.org and put Jose in the subject line. For our C-SPAN and public radio audiences, please be aware that the audience today are members of the general public, so any applause or reaction you hear is not necessarily from the working press. We take the journalist thing seriously here.
Man. You are terrible people. The ones of you in the back.
So let's talk a little bit about why we're here. And there are lots of reasons, certainly. More than 783 million people worldwide face chronic hunger, a statistic that's made even more acute by geopolitical conflict, weather disasters, climate change, and economic instability. Spanish-American chef José Andrés plunged into this crisis in 2010, struck by the hunger he witnessed following a catastrophic earthquake in Haiti. While cooking alongside displaced families, he realized the power of a hot meal to relieve suffering and to build community. And from this experience, Chef José founded World Central Kitchen. Now in its 15th year, World Central Kitchen is truly a global organization with operations now underway in Ukraine, Gaza, and Chile. Chef José has remained at its center as an outspoken voice for immigrants, inclusion, and human rights. In 2015, President Barack Obama awarded him the National Humanities Medal. Where some people talk about building higher walls, Chef José says he likes to talk about building longer tables to let food connect us. Today, we are eager to hear more about World Central Kitchen's missions. Please join me in a warm National Press Club welcome to James Beard award-winning Chef José Andrés.
Thank you.
I feel like this chair's kind of far away. All right, there we go. So Chef José, I just wanted to start with a little bit about World Central Kitchen, which of course you founded in 2010. What was your vision then, 15 years ago, and how has your vision and aspirations now changed over time?
Well, to speak about World Central Kitchen, first we need to go back. Okay, I'm not going to make it long. I'm not going to go back to when I born and and then my mom and dad being nurses that they show me amazing people we have every day, like in hospitals, like my mom and my dad, that they seem always to be going the extra mile to make the impossible possible. But they were obviously a very big influence in me in this kind of service beyond what is expected from you. But for me, were little important moments in my life. Reading John Steinbeck, The Pearl, where it's almost the first time I see that there was inequality without me being aware that there was inequality. Moments like when I did the military service in the Spanish Navy, and I sailed around the world in the training ship of the Spanish Navy, the Juan Sebastián del Cano, where I was with 300 people, four-mast. And it's the first time really I left Europe, and I was able to see the world. And there I saw the disparities, visiting Abidjan and Rio de Janeiro and Dominican Republic. And first time I came to America. First time I saw the Lady Liberty, and I saw really the big American flag on a very beautiful starry night, almost like the lights in this room, where I was looking at the American flag and I was looking at the stars. And I thought, man, America is amazing. Look at, they put the stars of the sky in the flag. Imagine how naive I was. I didn't know where the States. I think it's much more romantic when you think that the stars in the American flag is this sky where everything is possible. But for me, coming to America, I came back. In case there's any immigration officer in the room, I came with a visa. I overstayed my visa a little bit, but that's another conversation. And then I came to Washington, D.C. in 1993. And from the very beginning, obviously, I was given the opportunity to begin cooking in Jaleo, the Spanish restaurant that's a commercial, tapas, on 7th and E. First customer, Daniel Patrick Moynihan. Who is this guy? He knew every world leader, and I was like, man, if every customer is like him, I'm in trouble. Well, he was Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan. Senator Thompson from Tennessee. I began volunteering in a place called DC Central Kitchen, not too far away. Probably the best organization in America. Not a soup kitchen, but a place that gave opportunity to homeless, to ex-convicts, bringing them to the kitchen, giving them dignity, fighting food waste, getting food that nobody was using, about to be thrown garbage, bringing everything to the kitchen, and learning that the important was not about food waste, but the important thing was that we were not wasting people's life. Robert Egger was the founder, and he gave me this amazing, quick phrase that impacted me in deep ways. He said, philanthropy and charity seems is always about the redemption of the giver, when philanthropy should be about the liberation of the receiver. This very much was marking my forefront. I kept volunteering. I understood how food could be an agent of change in my community, where people like me, that we feed the few, we could be part also of feeding the many, learning that we all have a talent that can help us to be who we are, but that can help us to impact the lives of the many. And then with that simple idea that food is a powerful agent of change, I kept there until I became chairman and beyond. But then I began seeing certain moments that happened in front of me. Across the street from Jaleo, the Clara Barton home and office was discovered. The woman that single-handed was working behind the flying hospitals during the Civil War, the hospitals providing aid to anybody that was wounded, not only the one side, both sides. The woman that created the Red Cross. Fascinating that across the street, Jaleo. Clara Barton, a nurse like my mom, a woman that didn't only took care of the few, took care of the many. Those were signs in my, and I was in awe of what she did as I kept learning more and more about her. But then I saw things like Katrina. I used to make it short. You remember Katrina, the Superdome. Forget everything else that was mayhem. Superdome. Thousands of Americans in the Superdome without food and water. How America could live, thousands of people. I'm not talking all of New Orleans. I'm talking the Superdome. You know what an arena is? You know what a music place is? Everybody thinks it's a place that you go to see your gay Dolly Parton or your favorite David Matthews Band or your favorite NBA or your favorite NFL team. No, arenas are gigantic restaurants that entertain with sports and music. We did nothing. I did nothing. Everything began building. 2010, Haiti happened. I was in Cayman Islands with my friend Anthony Bourdain, who is no longer with us, but still big influence in me and in many of us, Eric Rippert. And I didn't go in that second, but I came back DC. I was able to give a good excuse so I would not get fired. Even I was a partner at the time already, but I had partners. Say, where are you going? I'm going to Haiti. To do what? I don't know. But I had this necessity to start learning, to start getting involved. And there is where I arrived. I joined a local NGO that was Spanish, that had 30, 40 years experience in Haiti. I began cooking next to men and women in different camps, and I began making a few thousand meals every day. That's the moment I began learning how my profession, again, could be not only at the service of feeding the few in the good times, but how my profession could be put at the service of feeding the many. That's how World Central Kitchen came to be.
And when that happened, I almost want to encourage the applause that someone started up there. But when that, so now that you started that, which is a great origin story, just really moving, What has the last 15 years taught you, and the dozens of countries that you've been in, the dozens of crises that you've addressed? How has kind of that original thesis molded over time?
Well, I think we're still on the learning mode. The more we know, as a cook, I don't know you guys, but me as a cook, people call me chef, but I have no idea of running a kitchen. That's why I have great chefs running my kitchens. But the more I know, I know nothing. And I think this is very important. Because it's very important that because you think you know it all, you bring down the voices of people that are in front of you, but sometimes you don't give them the opportunity to contribute. I think one of the great things World Central Kitchen has done is that while we have an amazing team in World Central Kitchen, that these people that very much has joined World Central Kitchen coming out of one mission at a time, people that just came randomly and began helping us in the middle of the night, and it's people that end being leaders in World Central Kitchen. It's almost like they hire themselves. Nobody hired them. It's like, who do we have? Well, him, great. But people that did the impossible in the possible. One thing I learned, obviously, I think everybody in World Central Kitchen keeps learning. Every mission is a mission of learning, of more experiences. I don't think we responded twice to the same event in the same way. The lesson is that we don't plan. I'm sure in the functionality of the organization, there is good people that they have a plan. You need to run an organization well to be successful. But in the core of who we are, which is the pure emergency, showing up after volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, fires, you name it, or even lately, war zones. When you follow a plan, because we are taught to have a plan. The plan of life, you go to school, you go to university, you graduate, you do an MBA, you find somebody you like, you marry it, or you go to live together, and then boom, and you have babies, and then boom, and weddings, and boom, and you're a grandpa and a grandma, boom, that's a plan for life. And in business, every business has a plan, everything has a plan. We are taught to plan. But what we learn, especially in COVID, that if you rely on the plan, it's only so many plans you can plan for. What happens if something happens that you never had the time to plan for? If you are only taught to follow a plan, you freeze in the face of the disaster. When you embrace the complexity of the moment, and you embrace that complexity and you adapt, and that situation, that mayhem, is an opportunity for you to serve, to come with something nobody thought of. Every time something happens, it's not something you freeze. It's not something you bring your hands to your head and you say, oh my God, we're doomed. But it's a moment almost in a strange way of happiness, of knowing that you are going to be adapting and you're going to rise to the circumstances and you're going to be able to produce what nobody is able to do, which is bringing people together to do something as food and water of people in need. No a month from today, no a week from today, in this moment. The urgency of now is yesterday. This is the kind of lessons we've been learning. World Central Kitchen, we are on our way to 400 million meals in the most difficult circumstances. In Gaza, we reached almost 34 million meals already, more than 60 kitchens, more than 6 kitchens waiting to be open, more than 1,200 trucks. The organization that had no experience in a complicated place like Gaza, the little organization, the baby organization, we've been behaving like the big organization. Why? Because we didn't follow a plan. We adapted. The men and women of World Central Kitchen, they've been adapting every single second. That's why we've been able to respond to the earthquake in Japan, to the mayhem has been going in Armenia, to what is going on in the southern part of Lebanon, what happened in the terrible thing that happened to the many people living in southern Israel, which we responded from the first minute. The terrible thing is happening to the people of Gaza that we responded from the first minute. We are in Chile. That's not following a plan is allowing us to make happen. we adapt. Therefore, we try to transform mayhem into an opportunity to serve others.
How do you decide where you're going to go? I mean, it sounds like it's a quick decision and quick action, but do you just try to respond to everything?
Well, we are very small. I mean, some of the executive team is here, led by Erin Gore, who is the CEO. And yeah, you can give a round of applause to Erin and her team. I don't run the organization. I founded it. I became chairman, and then when they name you chairman emeritus, that means move on. I say I'm the first volunteer that the organization ever had, because I was the first one. I was the only one, and I see myself as that. Obviously, I see myself as the whisperer. I've been going. Still, I feel I know nothing, but I have an instinct of what we should be doing. That doesn't mean every time I have an instinct of what we should be doing is the right thing to be doing. But that's why we have great teams that collaborate, and obviously the best idea is the one that usually wins the day, because we use pragmatism and we use logic. I don't know if one day World Central Kitchen, we have a flag in every single country in the world. I rather prefer don't, because we are trying to learn from the big organizations that they have amazing men and women, but then sometimes they become so big that they don't know what they're supposed to be doing anymore. And I think we need to be finding the right, being nimble enough that we understand who we are, but quick to grow enough that we can respond everywhere. One day we will hopefully say that in every major catastrophe we are, but technically if you think about it, at times we've been responding to 7, 8, and 9 catastrophes at the same time. Sometimes not a lot of people. Often it's only few people that go from World Central Kitchen. But because we have a talent to bring the best talent, because our ideas are simple. The message, we feed and we bring water as fast and as quick as we can. And all the team members understand that. And you are empowered to do whatever it takes to achieve that. With that simple rule of engagement, teams usually are but successful, because they are empowered to do whatever it takes to be doing food. That's why we did 260 million meals in Ukraine. That's why we put more than 550 restaurants working with us. That's why we had a team of more than 5,000 Ukrainians feeding Ukraine. Technically, only one person of World Central Kitchen went in, plus me. Obviously, a big support from the outside, from Poland. But technically, we went very few people. In Gaza, only one team member went inside. Obviously, big support in the outside, but only one team member went inside. Sam Block, a friend and an amazing leader. Many places, sometimes it's only 1 or 2 people. I don't mean it's the right way to do it, but you don't want to send too many more people in a war zone either. But that we are able to send few people and gather the community and make them stronger, and they make us successful, that's something we are becoming very good at doing. So where we respond, anywhere there is need. Are we able to go everywhere? No, but it's been fires in Texas. We've been feeding, within 6 hours, the teams were already delivering sandwiches.
Wow.
And seems it's a small operation.
How do you turn it around that quickly in 6 hours?
Because the world has never been more connected. And because, I don't know if you know, but World Central Kitchen is, without a doubt, the biggest organization in the history of mankind. It's not a bigger organization than us. We're bigger than the biggest government. We're bigger than the biggest private company. We're much bigger than UN. We're the biggest organization in the history of mankind. Why? Because every person that wants to volunteer and or is in the food business is part of World Central Kitchen. Every restaurant, every food truck, every arena, every baseball stadium, every helicopter, every boat, every amphibious vehicle, every other submarine, they all belong to World Central Kitchen. What happened, they don't know it yet. That's how we think. That's why we never respond the same way. We needed 6 helicopters and 2 seaplanes and 1 boat with 2 landing helicopter spots. In Bahamas? Yeah, we did. Did we deliver 80,000 meals a day within days to 14 islands? Yes, we did. Did we do 1.5 million meals in Ukraine a day? Yes, we did. Are we doing over 350,000 hot meals a day in Gaza, in the middle of a war zone, every one of the kitchens with its bakery next door? Yes, we did. Why? Because everything belongs to us. That's our attitude. Every asset is ours. We take that responsibility to deliver. This way we can be nimble. We don't need to have a lot of hardware because we own all the hardware spiritually. That's why we are able to be so big, so quick. We think like everything belongs to us because we can think that way because it's to use for the service of the people. Yeah. This way we can be nimble, but one day believe that we can respond everywhere, even including why not one day claim that we can be ending hunger if we use the resources that we have at our disposal in the right way. José Andrés and I endorse this message.
And you talked a little bit, nope, go for it. It sounds like you probably could run for politics and do quite well, but I know obviously this work is the primary. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the work that you're doing in some of these other places, particular Gaza. I mean, President Biden announced today that the US will now be airdropping aid into Gaza. You've actually worked with other countries, I believe, to do airdrops previously. What's your take on what it means and why the US is only now getting involved in this?
Well, sometimes it takes time to warm up. Obviously, Samantha Power has been doing a big trip the last few days. We began saying that we had to be thinking about doing airdrops. I was myself in an airdrop with the King of Jordan. The airdrop we did it because we've been working very closely with the Hashemite kingdom, with the king and the military of Jordan, that they've been providing very important aid. We have a warehouse in Jordan. I've been in Amman myself. And I can say that members of World Central Kitchen, including myself, we've been already 3 times in the first airdrops that happened in Gaza. And I will tell you that in many ways, while airdrops is not our invention, they've been done, unfortunately, before to great success. I would say that we've been cheerleaders of pushing for the governments to do airdrops. Sometimes it's not what we do, but what we push others to do. That now, finally, I can show you all my WhatsApps, and you'll understand one day. But now that finally the US is going to be joining Jordan and the Dutch and obviously the Emirates to do a bigger, more strategic airdrop is essential. I'm going to tell you that also is going to be, if you follow my Twitter, you will see that I announced that we have a boat ready to go to the beaches of Gaza. I cannot tell you much more, but we need to be thinking like the beaches of Gaza is the other way to do it. Is it smart to be doing airdrops? Smart it is, but it's necessary to be doing airdrops and to be thinking about landing on the beaches of Gaza in the middle of a war zone. I wish we didn't have to, but we cannot control the circumstances of the war. I wish I could stop the war tomorrow, that I had that power with my finger and find peace and give the people of Palestine what they deserve and release all the hostages, hopefully safe to their families. And then one day Israelis and Palestinians will be forever living in peace, and especially Palestinian people will dream of having the future they deserve, like every other free country should. But what we can be doing is making sure we provide food and water because the circumstances, the political situation, for a lot of reasons, is not enough humanitarian aid going in. That's why we need to be thinking bold. That's why I'm so happy that finally US is joining. I was at the White House not too long ago, specifically also talking about this. I'm very proud, I'm very happy that finally the US government is joining the initiative of King Abdullah and the other countries, and hopefully doing not only one massive airdrop in the north, but continuous massive airdrops in the north. We have food in Jordan, that food, we bought it precisely with the idea that we could be dropping it from the air. I'm very happy that this is happening, but it needs to happen every day, massive ways. People are hungry. It's already a humanitarian disaster. Mm-hmm. The least we can do is making sure that everybody is fed, everybody is provided with food and water. That's the least we can do for the people of Palestine.
And you mentioned the boat. I believe it's called... You mentioned the boat. I believe the boat's name is called Open Arms. That's sort of been there and been ready to go with the food, with the water. I mean, what was your thinking as to sort of when to launch this boat?
Well, I don't know if you remember, but in Ukraine, we were the first people to arrive to Ukraine by boat. We didn't have to. We had enough food in Ukraine. Ukraine never needed food. Ukraine is a country that exports food. But why we did it? Because we wanted to learn the situation of why Ukraine was not able to be sending the grain. I wanted to learn. We wanted to learn. So for me, it was great that we have these good friends. It's a great NGO. They rescue people in the Mediterranean and bring them to a safe port. And Oscar, who is the leader, I remember calling him and like, hey, we need to go to Ukraine by boat. We need to see that we have other sources in case something happened that we can bring food to Odessa. And we made it happen, and we did 4 or 5 trips. When this happened, and we saw that the number of trucks going into Gaza was never enough. And the difficulty, especially to bring food to the north. We thought, what if we put together the plan of having a boat? This is not a boat just to go in. It's the boat to help push for amphibious vehicles and barges that they can be coming from Cyprus, that hopefully the Israelis can check all the stuff in Cyprus, making sure that everything is what they want, and then bring it to the beaches. Again, why are we thinking so in such a bold way? Because right now, the people of Gaza don't deserve anything else than to be bold. In moments of great need is when the best and crazier ideas need to be considered. So will you see maybe soon the arrival of a boat to the beaches, or many boats to the arrival of the beaches of Gaza? Right now seems like almost impossible, but the airdrops also seem impossible not too long ago. Many people were saying that this was going to be impossible. Now it's happening. I do believe if we are not able to open more ways to bring trucks in big quantities into Gaza, we need to be considering the beach, and maybe before you know, you will see a whole bunch of boats arriving to the beaches of Gaza.
Wow. And I know that USAID said in recent days that they're calling for the opening of more channels into Gaza. Currently, as far as we know, I think there are only 2 crossings. Maybe this boat is opening up a 3rd. But how optimistic are you that Israel would agree to opening up enough crossings to allow food to flow in to starve off the food crisis there?
Well, again, I wish I could stop the war, right? But I can't. It's only one person can do that. You could argue it's more, but it's one person. I think this administration, even one thing is the public message. I do believe behind the doors it's been doing a lot of push to make sure that obviously a ceasefire will be achieved, and obviously more humanitarian aid. I want to believe this has been happening. But the humanitarian disaster could be stopped tomorrow if Israel will open just 2 more spots in the north immediately. Because then we can get enough trucks from the south, enough trucks from the north, and we can be covering all of Gaza quick and fast. Why it's not happening is always politics. If you think about politics, politics is the worst thing of democracy. The word politics should be eradicated from the language. The only thing we need to be using is use policy. Policy and common sense. Politics to me is just becoming something I have no idea of how to run the country or how to run democracy. I'm going to throw all the shit to you, and you're going to throw all the shit to me. But no ideas are going to be put on the table to solve the problems of the people. And we're fools because we follow the game of politics. What is the good policies that solve the problems of the people? because we have a group of people that keep President Netanyahu in power, those few people are able to make sure that no Israeli, any entry point will happen from Israel itself. Therefore, we have a crisis in Gaza. Obviously, putting on top that the ceasefire will achieve everything to start moving in the right direction. So what can we do? Think bold. Should we be opening those extra 1 or 2 entry points towards the north? Totally. Can be happening tomorrow? Totally. Why is not happening? Because politics. That's why I don't like politics. When I go to disasters in America or around the world, I don't see people that have the red or the blue. I don't see people that they are Christians or Jewish or Muslims. I just see people. Unfortunately, I see the best of people in the worst moments of humanity. In the worst moments of humanity, the best of humanity usually in unbelievable ways shows up. When we go to disasters, we only see people helping people. And the world should be like that all the time. People helping people. What is good for me must be good for you. And unfortunately, that's not what is happening. And in every situation, I think you will agree with me, that can be many truths at the same time. But very often, people are very selfish and they only want their truth to be the one. You know, I want my people safe. And the other people, I want my people safe. Oh, great. No, but my people need to be safer than yours. Or you kill my people. What, you kill mine? But you kill more than mine. Well, one death is one too many. I think we need to be bringing, obviously, more pragmatism, more empathy, more understanding. But this very simple truth that what is good for me must be good for you is something we need to start endorsing at all costs. Because if not, we're going into anarchy. If not, we're going into mayhem. And I do believe we can have many truths. You can be in favor of saying that no more children in Gaza should be dying. But at the same time, you can be saying that no more Israeli people should be dying if there are missiles fired by Hezbollah or Gaza. You say, yeah, but it's more people dying now in Gaza than Israel. Well, both truth are truth. Nobody should be dying. But sometimes we don't go. It's only one truth versus the other. And therefore, we never find the common ground of peace, of understanding, of working towards a better tomorrow. That's the sad reality. When you tell me I've been in Israel and I've been in Gaza, and when I speak to people, I don't see hateful people. Obviously, I spoke to every person, but I don't see hate. I see people that want peace. I want people that want to live with hope. That's what I see. Unfortunately, that's not a conversation we hear. But when you are on the ground, most of the time, you have people on both sides that they have compassion, that they will tell you, we were not supposed to kill those. We are not supposed to be killing them. We're not supposed to live in Hungary. On both sides, I can give you phrases without telling you who said it. If an Israeli or a Palestinian, and you will be surprised, you will not be able to say who said the phrase. That means that there's a lot of goodness out there, more than we think. But it's always mayhem. Why? Because sometimes the voices that control the conversation seems they are highly interested in the mayhem, because that's how they keep in power. Vast majority of the people don't want mayhem. They want hope. They want understanding. They want peace. What is good for me must be good for you.
Jose, I know that you were at the White House the other day, and I know that was for a different initiative, and I'm going to ask about that in just a second. But I am just kind of curious, after everything you just said, did you have the chance to talk either to Biden or to someone in the White House about some of these concerns with being able to get food into Gaza, about the administration's response? Was that something you were able to talk about at all yesterday?
Yeah, you can ask them.
So it is something that you did bring up? Yes? What was their response?
Yeah, you can ask them.
What was your sense of?
Listen, everybody knows that for me coming Washington was a blessing in more ways than one. But one of the blessings is in certain moments that I believe they've been important. For different reasons, I've been able to do my little voice that hopefully contributes to. Listen, in the pandemic, the first thing I did was visiting the Department of Agriculture and visiting the White House and meeting with Mrs. Ivanka Trump and her team. Why? Because America needed all of us to have a good response to make sure that nobody will be going hungry. If it's a door that I believe I can knock that can help us to provide food and water, I will knock on the door all the time. This is not any different. But again, this announcement, I'm very proud, I'm very happy, and yes, America can and should be and will do more. And I hope it's something that will continue, and equally with Ukraine. I'm not a man of war, but I'm not very thrilled with what's been happening with our lack of support from Congress to help people that are fighting for democracy and freedom defend their land. So I hope this responds to your question.
You also mentioned Ukraine, and I did want to see if you could chat just a little bit about your operations there. World Central Kitchen is now entering its third year in Ukraine. What is the status of your operations there?
In Ukraine, we don't have the same. We've done more than 200. I think today they were sharing, the team was sharing the numbers with the board. We've done on the north of 264 million meals. Especially the first 9 months, I think was unbelievably important because we were first in Poland, then in every other country surrounding Ukraine with all the people that were leaving Ukraine, all the refugees, all the displaced people inside. We began moving inside very, very quickly. So we reached the 1.5 million I said before. And obviously because we are mainly emergency, we gave time to other organizations, the own Ukrainian government, the UN through World Food Program, USAID, etc., to slowly be moving in. And is when we start kind of moving down. But our work, if anything, right now is even more important. We're doing still hundreds of thousands of meals a month. We have an amazing team that responds in less than 3 hours to any time you see a missile hit that usually, unfortunately, more and more people, civilians, are dying because of it. Russia has been increasing the number of bombings exponentially. The teams are right there feeding the first responders, feeding the people that their homes, they've been damaged. Again, within 3 hours, we receive photos in the phone. So I'm very, very proud of this. And we are in these areas very close to the front lines where is many elderly people or many people that are poor, that because they are elderly and they don't have family, they don't want to move. And I wish they will move. But at the same time, if they feel that way, we cannot leave them alone. I'm amazed that we have Ukrainian team members that are risking their lives just to keep those people fed. That's very much what World Central Kitchen has been doing right now, besides supporting other. One of the things I'm the proudest that we did the first year, which was early on, farmers were not planting seeds because they thought they had a lot of grain in their silos. And because the blockade, they couldn't export the grain. Without exporting the grain, that's why what Putin is doing is really beyond what he's doing in Ukraine. He's almost leaving parts of the world hungry. That's why this grain deal was so important, and that's why we went by boat to try to find ways that we could be bringing awareness to that situation. But we began buying seeds for the farmers because the farmers would not plant because they had no money. The banks will not give them loans, and they didn't want to risk it when they had the silos full and they had more space for the next harvest. So we said, if we put the grain, will you take the risk of producing? They say yes. So we did many tons of seeds that we gave them. But we did something else that I'm very proud. We are on the third year that tens of thousands of families that live near the war zone, they all have a farm in front of their home. They are some of the best farmers in the world, but they didn't have access because money or because logistics and infrastructure, access to seeds. So we've been already for the third year giving not only the big farmers as we did on the first year, but giving the smaller farmers for their home packs of 10, 12 different seeds is what we call the borscht package, where families, they've been able to plant the different potatoes, carrots that will help them go through the winter, besides selling some of the extra production to make some income so they have some money. This is probably one of the smallest investment World Central Kitchen has ever done with the biggest output of food and achievement. So we are right now delivering the seeds to many of these families as we also keep bringing them fresh fruits and vegetables. So this is the type of work we keep doing in Ukraine beyond other things like buying tracks for farmers that they had no tracks because all of them were taken by the military, but it's making their life in the farms very difficult, and other few things that we are doing right and left.
So there's Gaza, there's Ukraine. I also know that you have operations right now in Chile in response to wildfires. Can you just talk a little bit about what you're doing there?
Well, I don't follow, I follow everything the organization does. We have this simple and very chaotic, but very powerful WhatsApp systems. And that's why, my nights are usually going through my WhatsApps. And it's fascinating to see, especially I'm a guy that I'm very visual, and I like photos, and the teams are the best. It's almost like every member of World Central Kitchen is a journalist. Very often, you see in many very difficult places, some of the first videos of the chaos sometimes happens is World Central Kitchen teams. Has happened more than once. And I'm very proud of that because that tells you how quick we are. So in Chile, it's the same thing as it's been happening in Texas. The same thing happened in Japan, where I was able to meet with some of the teams a few weeks ago when I visited Japan. Just doing the operation, putting the teams together. The amazing thing happens now with World Central Kitchen. I don't remember even the country, and I should. But sometimes something happens. And few times we've received a photo of a restaurant or a diner or somewhere, a food truck, far away. And a logo of World Central Kitchen, sometimes like painted by hand. And like, man, people, you're quick, you're already here. And then, calling the team is like, shit, we're quick, man. I'm always complaining that we're not quick enough, which I shouldn't because the teams are unbelievably quick, but it's the way to say, don't bring your guard down. So like, we show up in 3 hours. Well, it was supposed to be 2, this kind of thing. But sometimes this happens. And the fascinating thing, do you remember the postman? The postman, Kevin Costner, in this kind of post, end of the world situation, apocalyptic civilization, democracy ended, very much almost like now. Yeah, come on. It's a joke, people. That the postman and delivering the postcards and the mail was almost the first sign that democracy maybe was about to start again. And the postman became like hope. Even Kevin Costner, the postman, he was doing it only to save his life because they were about to kill him. I'm the postman, I'm bringing mail. Democracy is about whatever. In a way, sometimes World Central Kitchen is happening like that. Like all of a sudden a restaurant, because they knew what we do, they say, you know what? I'm going to start feeding because something has happened in my town. And they do like the logo of World Central Kitchen, even we are unaware and we didn't know. This happened already a few times. What I'm fascinating is that World Central Kitchen is not the organization, which is important. but it's an idea. And it's an idea that is shared by many. And sometimes that idea is shared by somebody who's drawing their own logo of World Central Kitchen and saying, I'm doing free meals. Even we are clueless that that's happening. But I'm very proud that World Central Kitchen has been able to become this idea that anybody can belong to, even if they don't know anybody in the main organization. I think this is the power of what World Central Kitchen teams are achieving.
It's like the bat signal.
It's like the bat signal.
It's impressive because it's not. It takes a little bit of effort to do the logo. You got to have colors and shapes and.
You know what we wanted the logo with colors? Because some of the logos of all these international NGOs, they are also so one color. And look at the colors. It's the wall. It's happiness. It's hope. If you take a look at the feed of our social media, we don't go telling you how bad everything is. We go to tell you how good everything is if you are behind us. We don't look for donors telling them everybody is dying. We know the situation is bad. We are showing you what we are doing, and that if you support us, more can be done. We rely on hope, not in darkness. I believe World Central Kitchen, in many ways, if you take a look on when we began, especially 7 years ago to today, what used to be the social media of other bigger NGOs, and today, everybody has changed. Because we never did videos of telling you what we were about to do. We always, with full warehouses. Like, what the fuck, your warehouse is full? People are hungry. Sometimes we show you our house and our warehouse is empty. Why? Because we are delivering the food in real time. But we always show people cooking, delivering, traveling to, in a helicopter, in a boat, in a horse, always going somewhere. And we, in a way, I believe we've been influencing a lot of the social media, which I'm very happy, of don't tell me what you will do tomorrow. Show me what you're doing today. This is the least we can be expecting.
As you have these teams all over the world in these dangerous places, how do you think about making sure that your folks are being kept safe so they can continue to do the work?
Well, this will be a question better for the CEO of World Central Kitchen, but it's not like I'm skipping the answer. I mean, we have very good systems and parameters in terms of, we have team members that their main role is looking for the safety. But let's face one thing. When people are living the mayhem of a fire, or the mayhem of a hurricane, or the mayhem of a tornado, the members of World Central Kitchen are going towards the earthquake, are going towards the tornado. We are an emergency response organization. It's dangerous. I mean, listen, you can be shot in Washington, D.C., not too far away from where we are. And nothing happened, and you can. I'm not making fun of it, it's a reality. When we go to emergencies, it's dangerous. When we are flying over with a helicopter for 1 hour with no near airport to be able to land in the middle of the Caribbean to try to reach the people in Abaco, it's a danger. When we are in a place that cables have broken down and is water, it's a danger. So it's a danger in much of what we do. That's why the men and women that obviously join World Central Kitchen, they join knowing of those dangers. Do we send anybody to danger? No. We do it controlled. Do we send anybody without their own wishes to go somewhere? No. Nobody's in Gaza that doesn't want to be. Nobody went to Ukraine that they don't want to go. Nobody goes anywhere that they wish not to go.
Wow.
But I will be, listen, the first month of the war, my daughter, Inez, my second daughter, who just graduated from Georgetown, came with me to Poland. And as I was going to go for my second or third time into Ukraine. I told her, you stay with the team in Poland, that we had already a very big kitchen, helping us feed all the people in the border in Poland, a beautiful operation in Przemyśl. And my daughter looked at me, I'm like, I'm not staying in Poland, I'm coming with you to Lviv. I'm coming with you to Ukraine. I'm like, your mom is gonna kill me. Like, and my daughter was very much like, Daddy, how do you want me to be part of solving the problems of the world without risking something? And she came, she was my driver. She came for 4 days with me. And I was very proud of that. So as a father, I think I was right to be bringing my daughter into a place was a war zone. In hindsight, maybe no, but in hindsight, maybe yes. Why? Because I do believe I'm not going to be protecting my daughters, putting them behind 4 walls. I'm going to be protecting my daughters if we believe building longer tables. What is good for my daughters must be good for others. I do believe it's my way to build a better world. I don't believe building walls around my daughters will protect them more. I do believe by showing them the world we live in and helping make a better world is the way I will keep my daughters protected. I do believe it's the same for every single team of World Central Kitchen.
I know that we talked a little bit about the White House, but we haven't asked you an actual question about what you were doing there, which was a part of an announcement for $1.7 billion in new commitments to end hunger in the U.S. from 140 different organizations. You, of course, have been very involved in this effort as one of the co-chairs of Biden's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. Why? Oh, hey, look, questions.
I took them away. I was trying to be, in case you were looking for them, I forgot I took them.
No, it's all, we'll try and get to a couple of them. But I did want to ask sort of why, for this White House initiative.
That was big.
Why this, why now?
Well, this was huge, that was big. I don't know if you remember, but during the pandemic, Vice President Biden, everything was stopped. World Central Kitchen was not stopped. We were doing millions of meals all across America, India, other places. I remember the UN was shut down, and we had an entire hotel for us in New York because we were feeding every hospital in New York. That's how proud I am of the team of World Central Kitchen. But you can clap on that one. We were feeding every hospital in New York. We fed 100 hospitals in India in the mayhem of the pandemic. But during the pandemic was, if you remember, was elections. And because these gatherings were not happening, was a town hall. And they invited me to be on that town hall with President Biden, Vice President Biden. And the town hall was about food. Technically, it's the first time in the history of presidential elections that a town hall happened about food. I was very proud of that. Not for me, for him, because it was bold. But I believe it was important. Out of that was only a very simple ask. Can we do a White House food conference? Again, the first one and the last one happened in 1969, the year I was born, President Nixon. Great things came out of that conference. So I'm very proud of the White House then, after that town hall, took on that challenge. Susan Rice was a champion. She made it happen, brought the best of Congress, bipartisan, and did the White House Food Conference last year, which I hope we will see great results in the next 1 to 3 years. Already I've seen it's been great results. What we did in this White House Food Conference was believing that food can not only sit on the shoulders of the Department of Agriculture, because food is not only agriculture, which I think we need to change the name to the Department of Food. Food is also health, and now you've seen Secretary Becerra and Secretary Vilsack working together because food can also be health. Health can be better if food is used in the right way, but it's bigger than that. Food is urban and housing development. Why? Because we have food deserts. Who can be controlling that we have markets in places that women, especially single mothers, they have to be driving, if they have a car, 5, 10 kilometers away. But food is defense. Remember, the school lunches began because Pentagon in 1947, 1948 requested that government will create the school lunch program so American, back then boys, will be better fed so the military could be bringing more people into the army to replenish. At the end, what I've been proposing is that food is everything. Food is a national security issue. You remember we ran out of baby formula?
Yeah.
How America runs out of baby formula? I'm not gonna blame the one person that is the one to blame, but that happened and nobody saw it coming. The President of the United States and every president in the world should have a national food security advisor. I was given the opportunity to speak last year on the NATO summit. And I spoke to every single president, every single general, every single minister of defense. And the message was clear. Or you take food seriously, or the wars you're gonna be fighting, actually the contrary. If you take food seriously, chances are that we will have less wars or none. Use simple, yeah, you can clap on that one. Use very simple information. Every time I go to China, I love China. I love Chinese people. I mean, besides they have the best food in the world, they're great people. You go to China, you feel at home. I'm like, shit, why I didn't born in China? I have no issue with Chinese people. But then let me give you certain situations here very quickly. China has 15% of the world population. They only have 7% of the farming land. Well, that can be conflict one day, because how are they going to feed all the people? Well, let's make sure we are ahead, and we make that into an opportunity, not to have a conflict and war for control of countries, of ports, of food and water, but an opportunity to together produce more food so everybody is fed. And this, but not, is many more issues about food. Let me give you one more. Everybody's talking about food waste, right? What happens if we wake up tomorrow and the announcement is planet Earth has not enough food to feed 8 billion people? You probably will eat because you know me. And I will make sure you're fed. And on that you have my word. But you want conflict? 2 billion people without food? Right now seems is a science fiction movie. But in 2021, I was, whatever was the year, we had a conflict in Ukraine. We had devastation of 3 countries with back-to-back hurricanes in Central America and Caribbean. We had drought in Asia with no rice production. We had pests in Africa. 3 countries lost big percentage of their production because of pest, fungus. If the perfect storm happened, like baby formula happened, we may be one day not too far away, if countries don't take it seriously as a national security issue, that we will not have food to feed planet Earth. Will not be anymore about fighting food waste, but will be maybe fighting for food. I hope our leaders are ahead of that situation, and where food can be an agent of peace, not becoming an agent of war.
Jose.
Did I answer your question?
No, you absolutely did. We are running a little short on time. I do have one final question, but before I do have to take a moment to thank the organizers of today's event, headliners, co-team leaders, Dinah Lanwan-Leger, Lori Russo, and Jen Judson, today's headliner event organizer, Linda Roth, and club events coordinator, Cecily Scott Martin. Thank you all, especially for your questions, for your participation today. And now, very quickly, just some upcoming events. On Tuesday, March 5th, we're going to be hearing from some teen entrepreneurs on their new book, Down to Business. 51 leaders share practical advice on how to become a young entrepreneur. I am told this advice is also applicable if you are an older entrepreneur. And on March 13th, this one's really important, we're going to be hearing from Diane Foley. She's the mother of James Foley, who was a freelance journalist who was captured and killed by ISIS in 2014, about her new book, American Mother. And I hope you guys will both be able to join us for that. And then, Jose, I think the last question, well, first of all, I actually have to give you the mug. We give this to everyone who comes to the club, ambassadors, diplomats, celebrities, and I am just absolutely honored for you to have it. Thank you so much for all the amazing work you've done throughout the world, here in the US. And of course, for the final question, you've said that we are all a part of World Central Kitchen, even if we don't know it yet. Now that we know it, what can we do to help you and help your efforts?
Wow. That's very funny. I never know what to do. When I'm in a chair, I usually am terrible. I'm only good when I have my boots and I'm somewhere. I collect books, especially old books, and especially old cookbooks. And it's one from 1826. Brillat Savarin, it's a French guy, and I don't quote French people in public often. I mean, I like French people, but you know, Spain, France, culinarily, you know, don't give water to the enemy, they say, you know. But I have a first edition. The guy died on the same year the book was published, and his name was not on the cover of the book because he was ashamed of what he wrote. But he said, tell me what you eat and I'll tell you who you are. And he said something more important that I keep repeating to every president, every member of Congress, Senate, everywhere. The future of the nations will depend in how they will feed themselves. How can you help? The day we need your help, we don't need to call you. You will know, unfortunately. You'll receive the call. Inside you, you will know when it's your time to serve. You don't need to serve every hour, every minute, every day. It'll be the moment I know you do it already. But for World Central Kitchen, unfortunately, you will know when you are needed. But the moment you can, yes, be helping every single moment is used not to be silent in the comfort of your sofa, thinking about what you believe in, but just move away from your sofa and show up, or vote, or pick up the phone, or just do the right tweet, especially in things that have to do with food. We need immigration reform because it's the way we will keep feeding America better in the right way. Even if you don't care about immigrants, if you don't give a damn about the undocumented, fine. Don't give a damn about the documented. I applaud you. But if you want to be fed, be smart, and support fucking immigration reform. This is one way you can be supporting. The Farm Bill, I want big companies to do well. I want to have a big company. I don't mind one day to have a 40,000 restaurant. I don't mind. I'm not ashamed. I hope I will. And if I don't, it's fine. I don't have a problem with big companies. But we cannot have a Farm Bill that seems the only companies that benefit are the big companies. If we give subsidies to everybody. Or actually better, don't give subsidies to anybody. But cannot be that the little farmers don't receive any aid, while the very big ones are receiving all the aid. Support the right immigration, the right Farm Bill. And with things like this, with action, in a pragmatic way, putting politics aside and supporting good policies. Don't support any leader that doesn't have a policy plan to improve America. If they're playing politics, don't even look at them. Support people that support a smart policy. That happens is a smart politics. At the end, with the people, one solution at a time to every problem we face. In the World Central Kitchen way, sometimes big problems have very simple solutions. How we do it? One plate of food at a time, people.
That's a perfect note. And Chef Jose, thank you so much. This is really a pleasure. Thank you again.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.